welcome to our very first Euromersive Turkey event. We're actually going to get started probably about 5 minutes late, just because people are still showing up, and uh, we'll wait a few more minutes. But we definitely appreciate those of you who came on time, or even came a bit early and were patiently waiting in the waiting room.
Yeah.
We'll make official introductions once we get started in a few minutes, but definitely. Feel free to shout out where you're from, either in Turkey or out, and what who you're working with and what you're representing, and
Do you mean us, the panel, or
no,
our honored guests?
Yeah, I mean for the audience. The panel will be definitely doing it once we really get started. But I see a lot of familiar faces and names, which is nice, and definitely some new ones, which is also nice. Yeah, we have still more people joining, so I'll be looking at that. So yeah, guys, panelists, let me go ahead and just quickly introduce so we get that out of the way. We have special guest this evening, Asha Easton from Immerse UK, who is going to bring her perspective from the UK market. She'll introduce herself a little bit more later once we kick off. We also have, in order on my screen, we have Ertan from Yildiz Technical University's Reality Lab. We have Bora Sezer from Ozian University's XR Laboratory. And then we have Lance Powell, who's an instructor of virtual worlds at Waukesha University, which also includes the VR First Laboratory, along with the Bug Waukesha University gaming program. So that's our distinguished panel for this evening. And I'll be kind of emceeing and posing questions. And I'm from Coach University, Karma Lab, but I also have my own, little indie development studio, Raptor Dance Games. Actually, no, we changed. I checked games though. Raptor Dance Studios is the name of that. So, so I'll be speaking from a perspective of a freelance indie developer and from the academic perspective as well. Let's see, we still have some people coming in. So where's everybody coming from? Actually, I see a lot of Istanbul. I see Amsterdam. I guess I see, is it Seattle? We have, and obviously Asha's from London. So yeah, so Euromersive Turkey. God, I guess I'm gonna now. Let me save that for a little later. In 2 minutes, I'll do what Euromersive Turkey is. But I don't see we had I had invited Dursun Hoca from Haran University. I don't think he's here yet, but so let me go ahead and make this announcement, which I think is exciting. The second International Conference on Virtual Reality is taking place in November. I'll share the link in the chat a little later. It's going to be Turkey's second International Conference on Virtual Reality, and it takes place in Şanlıurfa. So for those of you who are not from Turkey, it's in the eastern part of the country. There's a lot of investment out there. In fact, they've really made a beautiful center for tourism and culture out there, because they have a very famous archaeological site called Göbekli Tepe, which is there. And I've actually done a project on that myself. But so yeah, a lot of people in Western Turkey don't know about this conference. Last year was the first one, and I only heard about it from DHL when I was doing a consulting project with them. So it's not very well known out here, but it has a very international group of academics speaking. So it's worth checking out if you're on the academic side.
Yeah, can I promote the event happening in 2 weeks? Also, this showcase. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I should announce also that in about 2 weeks' time. So on November 12th, in AltSpace, we're going to have an event called the XR Researcher Showcase. And we have invited some researchers, both from universities inside Turkey and also Europe. At the moment, Germany, England, and Turkey are represented. We have a few more spots open. So if you know anybody, or you are someone who has some original research inside of XR, then you are invited to sign up. And I will share that. I will share the link to the event page if you want to, but yeah, it's in 2 weeks. And I think we're going to close submissions in a couple days. So yeah, you're all invited to attend or participate.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Lance. Okay, so it's 5 after. So I think I will kind of kick us off. So Lance just described our next event, which is the Researcher Showcase, and Euromersive Turkey is a very new association because Euromersive itself is a fairly new federation of XR professionals in Europe. Um, particularly in France and Germany and the Netherlands and in Turkey, we're I think one of the most active groups. And the purpose is to facilitate collaboration between different professionals in different countries. Um, and for Turkey, this is particularly valuable because we have a lot of talent here, but we don't always have a lot of easy access to foreign funded projects and to collaborators who have access to markets outside of Turkey. So Euromersive Turkey's purpose is to raise the profile of academics and creatives and entrepreneurs and even just institutional um, buyers, perhaps, of XR content to be more visible among peers in Europe. So we are a part of this Euromersive Association, and we're very happy that you have attended. You joined us today for our first event, which we are going to be discussing just the state of XR. This has been a really drastic year for all of us. And that's kind of led to big changes for the XR industry globally and in Turkey, actually, as well. But of course, it's also revealed some opportunities. All of these changes often result in opportunities, new opportunities. So we're going to kind of be talking from that perspective broadly, and then identifying some trends, and then just areas that we feel like there's real good opportunities, either for research or for new projects or for collaboration, cross-border collaboration. So on that note, I'd like to ask our panelists to introduce themselves now that we have most of our full audience, I think, present. So I'll start. I am an independent developer. I have a studio called Raptor Dance Studios where I do projects historically for companies, but now more often for academicians, because I'm also a researcher at Coach University where I'm working at the Karma Lab. And joined today is Ertan Toy from Yildiz Technical University. Ertan, would you please briefly introduce yourself and the work that you do at your lab?
Hi everyone, welcome again. My name is Ertan Toy. I'm an assistant professor at Yildiz Technical University at the Graphic Design Department. At the same time, I'm a founder of the director in YT Reality Lab, which is an XR lab. We are working on virtual reality and augmented reality projects. We established last year on November, but because of pandemic, we have to do our projects very slowly because some researchers cannot come. Yeah, that's all for now.
Okay, and Bora Sezer is at Özyeğin University. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Nice to see familiar faces. Elias, Sean, Doruk, Safa. Nice to have you here. And hello to all those who I haven't met yet. I am a teacher in the Özyeğin University, and I established a VR lab about 2 years ago named Özü VR Lab. And we've been doing certain projects along the way. As Ertan mentioned, at the moment, the school is closed to the students and the teachers. It's a big deal to get in. So I haven't really been in my lab for a while now. I was there a month ago, but we're still continuing with the XR and VR issues online, and we're trying to create this online platform together with my colleagues here. And I'm very happy that you came, and let's see what goes on.
All right, thank you. And Lance, G Powell, would you please introduce yourself?
Thanks for including the middle initial. Yeah, so I'm Lance Powell. I guess I started in VR when the VR first lab in Bahçeşehir University opened its doors. So I was one of the founding members there. And it coincided with my master's work at Boğaziçi University, where I did some thesis work on harassment within social VR, studying the few different platforms that existed at the time. And this has led me to my current position as a teacher of virtual worlds in Bahçeşehir University, where we look at like the various platforms both in and outside of VR.
Yeah, thank you. And our special guest this evening from the United Kingdom, Asha Easton, from Immerse UK. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi guys, and thank you, Michael, for inviting me today. I'm really glad to be here to meet all of you. So I run Immerse UK, as Michael mentioned, which is the UK's VR and AR professional network. We work in partnership with the UK government, basically to grow the industry and to help make the ecosystem less fragmented. So we have a very wide remit. We try to cater equally to the creative industries as well as big industry and all kinds of different sectors that are using and adopting the technology. We're part of a bigger organization called the Knowledge Transfer Network. And the best way to describe the KTN is basically it's like a hive mind of experts kind of in every field all under one roof. And the point of the organization is to help facilitate cross-sector innovation and facilitate connections for positive change. It's kind of the motto of the organization. So yeah, we're under the umbrella of the KTN, and we work in partnership with all the teams there, basically to help to promote immersive technology being adopted in their sectors, and just kind of being like the showcase for all of UK talent.
All right, excellent, thank you. And there's a lot, I think, and I hope we can learn from the experience of Immerse UK, and maybe bring some of that into Turkey. So how it's going to work this evening, we're going to have a series of questions that I'll pose to our panel, and you feel free to kind of post questions in the chat, and I'll be checking it as well. But we'll also have kind of a dedicated Q&A toward the end, the last 10 to 15 minutes. But for the majority of the talk, we're looking to hear from the panelists who are going to share their thoughts. And the very first question is kind of the most broad and the most obvious. What has changed the most for XR in 2020? And so maybe I can add a little like guiding questions that follow up that. Which sectors of XR maybe have been most threatened, and which sectors maybe have benefited the most from whatever you think changed?
If I can jump in with that one, just from our experience over the last 6 months, we have an advisory board and also several working groups that we have. And during COVID, we actually started having much more regular COVID meetings, basically to temperature check the industry with everybody, and just to, so a lot of it's anecdotal. What we kind of have been fed back, but I mean, obviously there was a massive hit for anything to do with in-person live events, VR arcades. Everyone took a hit, but actually we even off the back of all of this work with all the groups, we actually started a post-COVID recovery working group, and in that group it's actually international, and people from around the world that were starting to go back to doing live events were feeding back, like, what's the appetite from the public to actually adopt this stuff and put a headset on in the middle of a pandemic. And on the positive note, I was expecting really bad news, and actually across the board, things have been selling out in countries all over the world. So there's still appetite for that. So I'm hoping that all the stuff that has to do with live in-person events will rebound. One area that just has gone from strength to strength and is anything to do with animation. All the animation studios that were doing VR work, or VR studios doing animation in the UK, are like booked up to the end of 2021. So that's a massive one.
Are they, if I can do a quick follow-up, are they doing VR content, animated VR content, you mean? There's a lot of, interesting. Is that for Quest predominantly?
I don't know what headsets, if like predominantly, but just animation just generally. All the studios that had animation work are doing really, really well. There's another thing I'll bring up later. I want to let everyone else speak, but there's something else I want to share with you guys after there's a report that PwC has come out with. But go ahead, I'll leave the floor to someone else.
Yeah. So can I step in?
Yes.
Okay, so for those who don't know about the VR market specifically in Turkey, there is an ongoing problem with the lack of access to the hardware because each HTC ever so briefly had a presence here, but they've gone, and Facebook like hasn't yet like opened to market within Turkey. So for the consumer market, it's only for like the richest people here. So it was very important to have different XR labs here, and like all of the panelists and Michael himself, like we represent those different labs, and in 2020 we've essentially been locked out of them. So like personally, we may have access to hardware and we're able to keep up with the industry, but education itself has suffered in some ways. So yeah, that was like one thing that happened like within the university system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ertan, Bora,
Yeah, I can add something. Because of the pandemic, we affected very badly because we can't use our lab very fluently. So production of the virtual reality is hard because you need great computers, as you know. So if we want to try something with audience, if you want to show your virtual reality applications to the audience, you can't do that because of pandemic. They don't want to try headsets because it's not hygienic, as you know. So our academic projects are very badly affected because of it.
Yeah, and maybe I can share something on this point because we, like the rest of you, our lab is closed, and Lance is absolutely right that in Turkey the labs were often a very important touch point with broader audiences.
Yeah.
And without them, then we would say, all right, it's the location VR experiences. And what was funny is that there were well, it's not funny actually, it's tragic. There were so many location VR, VR arcades that opened in the last 6 months of 2019 in very good locations, and then immediately got hit. So I that was the other thing, because as before mentioned, the tax on headsets are just prohibitively high. So it's really difficult for people to get them. And now with lockdowns and no travel, people aren't bringing in the headsets in their luggage that was the main way to get them in. So it is, I think, going to set us back. But on the point of willingness to put on headsets, to echo actually what Asha's working group has found, we at Coach, we were satellite site for the Venice International Film Festival's VR program last month for 12 days. And I can say we were sold out the last 3. I mean, everything was last second. So we actually sold almost all of our tickets in the last few days because there was no time to tell people. But we had a lot of people really want to come down and see content. And fortunately, we have a university hospital. And we had students and professors from there help us to establish a very robust protocol. And actually, we have Virgil here in the group, and Virgil was kind enough to support us with a UV box as well to help, fill out the protocol. So, we feel a lot more comfortable now after that. We're going to be a satellite site for VR days next week, and we feel like we can do it safely. But to Asha's point, there is a significant portion of the consumer market who seems to be comfortable putting headsets on under the right context. I don't know how big that is, but it's definitely present.
Yeah. If I can, to speak to the presence of VR specifically in the art world, it was like in the preceding 2 to 3 years, very, very common to see some VR exhibit as part of a bigger exhibit. To the fact that it became like industry standard, if you want to call it that, like within art. And this is also true for like art and technology conferences, like Sonar Festival, which both Michael and I attended a few times. So when you talk to like people on the street, what their experience is with VR, the more cultured and affluent people will have like experienced it in the context of art and speak of it positively, whereas like another group of people might have tried a roller coaster like inside a shopping mall and said it was terrible, which of course it was. So there are very divergent opinions of VR specifically. But like the crowd of people who were interested in VR as a medium for art, like they're still interested. They still want to see more. So yeah, as Asha said, there is appetite for it.
I see. I also, despite the fact that we're having this kind of slowdown, well, I mean, I just think, there, it was too early. Like if there had been more widespread adoption, there were so many more things that more people could be doing at the moment. Like all these live events that we're doing. I've been to so many concerts, film festivals. Everybody put their things into VR, and it went really smoothly actually for a lot of them. Yeah, there was a bit of a missed opportunity almost. But I have seen, despite the setbacks, a lot of people still doing really innovative stuff, doing live, theater performances that are with different actors in different countries, like, doing mocap live streaming into a virtual world to view in VR. Like there's all kinds of really creative stuff that's still happening. So I think that's still really positive. I want to just show something really quickly. Can I share my screen really fast?
Yeah. Let me
Just
go
to
ahead
give
and-
you, like, it's
Yeah, go
just a
ahead.
quick screen because I want to signpost people to this bit of research actually that PwC has just put out.
Okay.
And they're one of our founding members. So this is just to show you, and this is like just got released about VR usage around the UK in the last like 6 to 12 months and where the applications are and the industries that are the most popular. So it's a much more detailed report than just this, but I just wanted to show it really quick. And
Is that publicly available?
It is, yeah, and I'll send you the link. I think we're going to do a fireside chat with Jeremy Dalton as well from PwC about it.
Okay. Yeah.
If people want to ever come and check that out, but just wanted to signpost people to that info.
Yeah. I mean, I think, not to get off topic, but just briefly, I would say we've talked before, Asha. I think the UK is quite, is somewhat similar in terms of its market to Turkey, because the UK we were talking about is quite an enterprise market.
Yeah.
And broadly speaking, B2B has always been where the money is in VR for a long time. But I think specifically in Turkey, because of the lack of consumer accessibility to hardware, the majority of projects in Turkey are very much B2B. And so it's, in some ways I could see the UK, the landscape of developers and stuff not being too dissimilar in that sense to Turkey, though the market being so much larger. But let me go ahead and follow up with another question. So we kind of talked about, what's changed, but more specifically, what trends have we seen that really excite us? And are there any trends that really worry us? And I want to, we're all kind of more VR oriented, not to speak for you, Asha, but definitely the panelists here are probably, we've all done some AR projects, but we do more VR. But just to remind us, of course, that AR is on the table, is on our menu as XR Association. So in terms of trends, what excites us and what is worrying us right now?
I get excited about issues where actually it is being used in education, for example, how virtual reality could have been used in education. But I think the pandemic fooled us in a way where it was just becoming an emerging market. Actually, it's an emerging market, but it could not emerge fully. And it's a disappointment. I mean, it was just becoming a mainstream thing. It was the beginning, like in arcades, for example, as you mentioned, these arcades were being built, and we were almost going to go to people were going to go to those. And when that happened, now it's changing. And I just published an article about a year ago about how virtual reality should be taught in universities, like issues like interdisciplinary approaches, etc., etc. but this was so unexpected. And although virtual reality is such a good platform for teaching, doing education online, I don't see us doing online education at all. And I mean, with virtual reality, and it's a bit weird. I mean, I think the basic thing behind this is that it wasn't able to become a really mainstream thing yet. Like 5 years ago, they were making forecasts that it would be very mainstream in 5 years and everybody would have a VR headset in their house. But I guess the main problem is that it's a bit expensive still. And you require very strong computers like PCs that help us. And if that isn't the case, it can't become mainstream yet. And now I'm thinking, for instance, in this coming semester, I will have a class, a virtual reality design class. And how will I actually give this class online? And it troubles me. I'm trying to figure out how I can do. I'm consulting my colleagues, asking them how they are doing it, etc.
Maybe Mozilla Hubs.
But yeah, and so education-wise, I think it should become more exciting. There should be some sort of approach to it, but I haven't figured out any approaches yet. So if any of you guys have any comments, I'd like to hear them. And regarding other industries, we read, and we see, for instance, the health industry. It says they developed something against the pandemic. They're using it in hospitals when they're seeing patients, COVID-19 patients. But it feels like they are advertising. I mean, advertising the hospital, and it doesn't look like it really helps. So I think it's like on a plateau at the moment. It's not speeding up, although we keep hearing that companies like Oculus from Facebook, they are saying the usage of VR has gone up 40% since the pandemic because people want to use it at home. But I can't be sure if it's real or not. What do you think about that?
I can speak to that point because, as mentioned, I'm teaching a course on virtual worlds. And the virtual worlds, they're not medium specific. It's both VR and out of VR. And of course, we've had virtual worlds outside of VR for 20 years now, like with active worlds. And what I'm finding because of the last year, like the trend to come out of the last year, is a lot more people are inhabiting these virtual worlds at a time when like VR is also at the market. So as I've been doing my own research for the course, I came to understand that there has been like a bridge that has been building like within virtual worlds, just for virtual environments, and at the same time within VR with platforms like Rec Room and Altspace, and which began as VR only, like they were like building an audience there, but then they opened up to desktop as well. So this bridge has been building for a while, and like at least among young people, university students and even high school students, like who have the time to spend with these virtual worlds, like they are very much ready for XR to come, but they only need the hardware and the money to get a hold of it. So that excites me, like just seeing like how many people are involved in one virtual world or another, and to speak to Rec Room, if you're involved in that community, there is commentary amongst players right now, like when a VR player comes into the room, the desktop people are like, oh, a VR player, watch out for that guy, I'm gonna get him, and things like that. So it's very fun to see these communities mingling, and hopefully become unified in future times.
I should go with you something.
Yeah, I think the two things that excite me the most at the moment, one would be virtual production. I think we kind of briefly mentioned this a little earlier. But virtual production for the film industry, I think, is really exciting. The things that, I mean, they've already been doing with The Lion King and The Jungle Book and filming of The Mandalorian, for example, I think it's all really interesting, but it's evolving so quickly. And I think it has the potential to completely disrupt all of like filmmaking for the rest of time, because we all know how they're suffering at the moment. Productions being shut down. This is really like a way forward, I think, for them. So I find that really exciting. And I also am really excited by anything that has to do with like 3D design in VR. So like Gravity Sketch, Tavori, Masterpiece VR, anything like that, I find really fascinating. And also the use of, I don't know, has anyone here used Pluto while like using tilt brush and things like that?
Right.
Have you done it? You tried?
I tried to.
I know it's still kind of glitchy and it's not always that great, but I thought that was really cool. Like being able to, it's basically, for anyone who hasn't tried it, it's like doing a Zoom call with someone in a VR experience, but you see their avatar, but you don't see the same things. You just see each other's avatar. But so that means that instead of tilt brush just being an individual experience, you can paint with someone, and you can talk throughout it, and you can do that across different games. I think that's really interesting.
I haven't tried that. My research is actually in collaboration in shared virtual space. So it's something, but I guess the fact that you don't see the same thing doesn't preclude.
It's a bit annoying, except that if someone has there's a special version anyway, they can put up a 2D screen above them. So like I could see my friend painting, and then I could paint the same thing. So he could teach me in Tilt Brush. And you can do that across different things too. Or you could be playing, someone could be playing like Half-Life Alyx, and then the other person's drawing, and you're talking to each other while you're doing that. Yeah, I find that interesting.
To respond to Bora's discussion about educational adoption, I've talked to a number of universities in Turkey in the last 6 months about using it for remote education. Sometimes they reached out to me, particularly for medical training, one of the big university hospital groups. And then for me, I did my, at Bol I did a master's in management. So I'm familiar with the MBA types of programs, and thought that, hey, we've done through Laval Virtual and through XRBase, we've done a lot of like investor entrepreneurship startup pitches in VR, and that type of professional networking is actually really quite established and successful. And in terms of a trend, I'd like to see business going more virtual. That's kind of where I like to do my research. And but more specifically about Bora, why it hasn't been adopted so much. I mean, coming back to, again, it's expensive. Like when you see in LinkedIn a company in the US setting up 200 quests, in Turkey you won't find any institution buying 20 quests. Like it's just not a factor. But the other thing is, having spoken with them, they tell me in June, two very, very top prestigious business programs said, in September we're back to normal. We have no plan to have remote education now or at any point in the future, because that's not why people pay us. And it's like, that's fine. You kick the can down the road, because the thinking is, well, if I ask them now, they're going to say, we'll have the vaccine, next year early. We won't, I find education is particularly, and we've all been educated. So I guess I am an educator now. We all are in the Turkish panel. Educators tend to be quite conservative with their students. They don't want to put them into unusual and uncontrollable environments. It takes a long time, I think, for an educator to be comfortable in that environment. Educators in VR is a good group for that. But yeah.
At their own peril, in my opinion. I think anyone who's not learning the lessons now and taking all the steps, like I think anyone that hadn't been trying to figure out how to implement new technology into any business that they're doing, including like education, they were already behind the 8 ball. But if you haven't learned the lesson from the pandemic, that you should be trying to figure out new ways to incorporate new technology, it's crazy to me, to be honest.
From an AR perspective, I was doing a talk for one of the EduTech conferences, the Educathon. I had organized an AR one last year for educators, and then this year we did one that wasn't AR specific, but again was talking about applications of AR and VR. And from my perspective, and we have some AR practitioners here and startup, founders here in that space. I think VR is great for home education because you can create a learning environment. But AR makes perfect sense for classrooms because that's a dedicated, controlled learning environment that you can then. It's much easier for the teacher to augment that environment. But I wonder if educational AR is disadvantaged now by having more students at home because the home environment is less easy for the teacher to prepare for augmentation. So I feel like maybe that's a sector that might be unexpectedly delayed in its development. Yeah, so let me follow up. Well, does anyone have a response to that before I ask?
I can answer your question, Michael. I'm really excited about location-based AR. I think it will combine with AR glasses. After that, it will create a good response for the people. If Apple do it in like next year, I don't know how can do that, but if the rumors are true, they are saying the end of the next year they will release their AR glasses. So location-based AR with these glasses could be revolutionary for XR, especially for advertising and marketing perspective. It will be a great tool for us. What I am concerning about Facebook, as you know, Oculus is dominating the market, but they are saying Facebook, you need to log in with your Facebook account, so it will be an issue.
And they're blocking people out of their accounts as well.
For everybody.
Supposedly they're getting pretty rough with it. But on that point, Facebook, I think, has perhaps a closer to market AR glass than Apple may have. Would you not get the Facebook glass if it were to come available next year sometime?
I would buy any kind of AR glasses if they do it right, because as you know, Magic Leap and HoloLens is a lot very narrow sight view. So it is very bad for me. If they do it a great AR glasses, it will be revolutionary.
You will be able to buy it with the Ray-Ban Facebook. Going to publish a new glasses next year. By the way, this is Güven from Holnex. I'm the founder of the Holnex company, which is mainly focused on augmented reality. We have a AR-based SaaS platform developed in Turkey. And as you said that, the Facebook is working it right now, but I think that the smart glass, which they are going to publish in next year with Ray-Ban, is just something like a very simple thing. The main project is Facebook area project, and it will be probably the thing that we're expected to see as a augmented reality glasses will be in early, I think, 2 years later, 2023 or something like that. But yeah, as you said, that Apple has some rumors about, and maybe we will able to see the last quarter of next year. Maybe we can able to see some smart glass, something like maybe more resemble to Unreal glass, like something like that, which can be work like going to be connect and going to be work with the smart glass.
Yeah, speaking of Unreal, it's interesting you bring that up. Did anyone see? I mean, so for example, today or in the last couple of days, it was another VR headset announced to be coming out. It's 6 DoF and ultra high res and inside out tracking and stuff. And I feel like our industry is still so reliant on hardware generated excitement and hype, and Unreal falls into that category for me. Like I don't criticize it as a technology device. Like for me, for example, HoloLens was an incredibly great piece of hardware as a prototype, but I feel like Microsoft was did not do anyone any favors by promoting it as in the way that they did. And Magic Leap, I think we all have opinions about Magic Leap's marketing strategies, but but I'm a little disappointed that I still see people sometimes in our professional communities get really excited about a very dubious press release that comes out about some hardware from some part of the world, and that we're as a community maybe not a little bit more jaded or just critical of
Critical, sure.
hype. You know, I still it's just too much hype. I don't think we need it. I think we're great without it, and
I'm more interested in who's building interesting like infrastructure for other things. Like I'm interested to know what your SaaS platform is, actually AR platform. Given I think that's the kind of stuff that I get more excited about the new hardware coming out personally.
Yeah, so the thing that we build in here, we created as I said, a SaaS platform, which is we build a web-based 3D editor. So you upload your 3D models and instantly you can able to see it in augmented reality in both browsers and mobile devices, and both Microsoft HoloLens. Also in Turkey right now, the Arçelik is starting to use this technology, and some of the telecom firms is going to use in Turkey also. This is the thing that we have done.
Yeah, and I'm excited to do a future event where we kind of bring attention to startups and maybe B2B, enterprise outfits in Turkey, because there's quite a few. Some of you, I mean, obviously, Güven, we met.
I think we are the only one. There are a couple of competitors, of course, in the world, but we are the only one, I think.
So many in Turkey. I'm constantly meeting so many people doing different things of various stages of development. And I think that's what's great. If we could bring everyone together to know each other. Because I mean, those of us in Turkey, we know that we're a fragmented industry everywhere. But in Turkey, we definitely, even in Istanbul, there's just such a big city, so many neighborhoods where people are based that they just don't seem to talk so much. So I'm definitely excited to do an event for Euromersive Turkey where even HoloNext can be featured and get a bit more awareness to what you build. I kind of want to finish up with one last question and then take Q&A. But so the question that we have, and I'm going to maybe adapt it a bit for Asha so you can offer your thoughts on it, is what do you think is the role of the Turkish XR industry, globally or regionally? What would be, what local creatives and developers and entrepreneurs, what should they be attempting to do?
It's something about it as a entrepreneur who's working in this area. The problem right now, what I see, in the past, I observe and I come across so many people who are working in AR and VR, and right now some of them are just moving to the gaming industry because of them. Some of them already been using the Unity 3D. So those kind of developers, I observe something like that. They start to work in gaming companies who are not working in AR and VR. So some companies are converted, or some of them are converted to them as game developer. This is a new thing that I started to observe.
Yeah. Anybody else? What do you guys think? Particularly for those of you who work with students, where do you see a great opportunity for them in Turkey? And from Asha, from your experience working in a larger, more developed market, knowing that Turkey, is in the region, but it just has a different stage in its development of its local industry. Where might you see opportunities, particularly owing to the fact, obviously, that our currency, our local currency, is much more affordable for those with other currencies than it used to be?
I mean, it's a complicated industry, and there's like a lot of moving parts to it, and a lot of different like sub brands and industries within it, and a lot of different skill sets coming from different industries and joining in. So I think any efforts to try and organize, around that is important, and trying to use that to leverage the government to try and help to build the industry. I don't know what kind of support your government gives for innovation more generally. But, you know, creating that kind of unity in the ecosystem and using that to push for more support, I think is really valuable. It's what's happened with Immerse. That's the only reason that we get the ear of the government, really. And it's taken a long time. Like, I mean, the idea started in 2016, and it's, you know, it's a slow crawl, but we got there. And then now, as you know, there's a lot of value that comes out of it.
Yeah. So if I could mention one area of growth, because as we know, a lot of film festivals are moving to virtual because they can't meet in person. So like within the festivals, like speaking to the content, I find that there are a lot of people in traditional filmmaking who are just kind of using their credibility within like a traditional film and using it to create something within VR. And the good ones have used some guidance and educated themselves, and they present something that's very nice. But at the same time, there's another growth area of people with no experience and no budget at all are just asking themselves, okay, what can I create inside of social VR platforms? So they really get into content creation, whether it's documentary filmmakers. It's what Michael, say his name?
Joe Hunting. There's a great guy. Guys, check out Joe Hunting. He's a lot of fun.
So there's documentary filmmaking. I myself tried some field reporting for my blog back in 2016 during those disastrous presidential elections, and also like within a lot of platforms now, they give you the tools like to film and create content inside of them so that can be shared and distributed, because you find that a video inside of a platform like VR Chat or Rec Room, like when it goes viral, it gets a much bigger audience than anything traditional filmmakers make. So that it shouldn't be understated like how much like they will be the future of VR specifically. Like those people out there creating content, like they're becoming the next, influencers, the next generation of influencers.
Yeah. Ertan, Bora, do you have any thoughts about where you see the role of Turkish creatives and developers in this space? Finding opportunity, finding their role.
I think we have a good amount of people who are working on software engineering or design thinking. So we have a young generation who are working, who wants to try to work on these XR technologies, platforms, content creations. There is a good opportunity because we have a nice population here. So for us, it is really hard to get hardwares, as Lance mentioned. If a government supports people with kind of hardwares, or if the people can reach these hardwares more frequently. So as our university labs working on it, we are trying to reach people who wants to work on XR technologies, but right now we can't do that, as Bora said, because of these issues. But after that, I believe that Turkish people will work more on XR industries, especially for the opportunities. I'm seeing we have lots of social media users, so they want to try new technologies. So mobile AR will be the near future of the XR industries in Turkey. I believe that. Yeah, my thoughts are here.
Bora,
you're muted, Bora.
Yeah, you're muted, so I don't know if you're talking to us. There you go.
Oh, okay, that's right. I see there are some questions on the chat platform. Like I saw from Mr. Fırat from MEDEX, he's asking the health industry platforms being used in hospitals for COVID he asked a question, and he asked basically if they were in Turkey or abroad. And I think for instance, the last one we discussed again on our Zoom meetings was abroad, right? So I haven't actually seen any applications done in Turkey yet for especially for COVID. And the other question comes from Elias, my colleague. He says he's for the education part. He wonders which 3D platforms, which 3D softwares are best to use in virtual reality design.
No, not necessarily. I meant something else. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Elias.
Hi, Elias.
Hi. Hey, Bora, are you done, or do you want me to?
Yeah, you can continue, man. I was
Okay.
just
I'm
opening
sorry.
way to.
So
I mean,
I am
actually,
working with Bora. Together we are in the same department, and I really haven't been involved in this type of work, I should say, because I mostly do motion graphics. But one thing that I keep noticing, because with Bora we kind of collaborate in a VR project. One thing that I noticed is that the skills the students don't have when it comes to 3D applications, like almost none. And this is a huge issue. And you know, some of them they're trying to do this plugin or that thing, the other thing, that it's just not going to work. So I got to work at home a little bit. I had some time, and I worked on the what's the name, Modo 12, and I kind of did like some simple models, and I import them to do just a room, like then eventually I would be able to just anyway. And I was very successful, just simple stuff. And I don't have the time that the students have. So what I'm trying to say is that from my experience, and by all means, guys, you're much more experienced on that, but seeing from the outside, it's just, they're not involved in 3D applications. Now that we have, you know, the 3D applications, there are a plethora of them, and, you know, we can use them. Blender, right now, Blender is awesome, right? I mean, you don't even have to use the advanced options of Blender. Simple stuff, create a room, whatever, create some simple objects, and then just do a VR thing. That's so easy to do.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it.
But you know, it's interesting that you say that, because yeah, this has been my experience both at Boscher University before and then at Koç University now, is that young people in Turkey, broadly speaking, and not, obviously there are exceptions to this, but broadly speaking, they're not interested in virtual reality. In fact, there's a pretty strong resentment. Whenever I do talks to universities, I do feel a very inherent resistance to it. And they associate it a lot with dystopia. Maybe not with like not with very like developed thought processes, but you know, they express it. It's something that they see as I often get asked, always by young men. The women don't ask this so much in my experience, but the men will always ask, do we need this? Isn't this going to like destroy the world or something? And you know, you ask what's the thought process behind it, and it's just like technology's bad. You know what I mean? They're 19, they're 20. They're getting this from many times their professors, because then I meet the professors and I hear the same thing. But I think they just don't have access to it. I mean,
these days they do have access, especially in the last couple of years. I mean, the software is there now.
Well, I'm talking about VR specifically. Now, if we want to get into like software, we often struggle to teach kids practical tools, because who's going to teach them? I mean, again, not to name names, but there are some universities who don't have the professors to teach the subjects that is on the name of the course. You know, it's up to the students to learn that on their own. And fortunately speaking, we've got a really great gaming sector in Turkey, historically and definitely in recent years. And most of those kids are self-taught. Almost all of them are self-taught, if they're any good.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and that I think often comes from these skills are not really valued by the university. They're not paying instructors with these skills to really augment the staffing.
But they have courses in them, but they don't have the right staff.
Well, I mean, yeah, in my experience, some of the some of the university programs are kind of like that.
Interesting.
You know, because it's hard to keep them. One, the currency has not helped. It's put a lot of pressure, I think, on staff salaries. That's always been a big issue. It's gotten worse. But the other thing is, until recently, and it's speaking of trends, we didn't really touch on this topic, but the hyper casual market, the gaming market in Turkey has just, as an industry, has so grown that these younger kids have access to career opportunities that didn't exist 5 years ago. I mean, the amount of money coming in is really strong. Unfortunately, they're all going into hyper casual, but actually, I think VR is a great opportunity because you can make a productive, a profitable VR project in Turkey if you can sell it, you know, in North America far easier than maybe many other markets. But with that being said, this is an area where they're now, I think they're being well paid for this. This is becoming a highly valued skill, and I don't think it was that highly valued a few years ago. It's become highly valued now because of Turkey becoming a big outsourcing location for these skills. So maybe we'll see more modeling training in universities because the industry is now willing to pay for this, even if it's not local industry. It's foreign industry paying for these skills.
I'd like to hi people. I am Bilal Orhan. I work at Rec Room right now in Seattle. I want to add something to what Elias was saying, and all the things that I hear you guys rightfully complain that there's a hardware issue in Turkey. It's very hard to get your hands on it, but majority of our development time does not happen on the hardware. It does happen on the software side, at least for the games like we build. So to me, I got my education in Turkey, my basic education in Turkey in Bosphorus University, and I have no idea about any 3D modeling tools or any gaming experience when I was there. Now there are so many tools like Unreal, like Unity, like Blender just for the modeling part. Once the students have this type of experiences, once they know how to make games, converting that gaming experience, 3D modeling experience to VR is now trivial because Unity and Unreal Engine is actually actively helping you convert your otherwise 3D games to VR. So just sitting and waiting for hardware to be available, I think is a losing battle. You need to start learning the skills that you can apply to VR if and when it's available.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah, as educators, like if you guys can open classes, not specifically VR, but gaming, but Unity development or Unreal, which doesn't matter. I think that will translate much better within a year or so to AR, VR, XR, whatever we end up having.
But I mean, that's what, I mean, I can speak because I teach Unity. I tried to teach Unity. But to Elias's point, this is not something that's very attractive to a wide range of, these are very particular student profiles that take to this. Because in a programming, and actually, Bilal, maybe you studied computer engineering. I don't know what you did. Yeah. I mean, there's a very regimented program, as I understand it, for the types of projects that you work on. You know, it's very structured. And when, at least I've found, and I've struggled to do it, so I'm not a great example of a Unity educator because I've really struggled to teach Unity programming to non-programmers. Is that, you know, they're looking, and not they, again, there's always examples. There are some really exemplary students you come across, and it's just like, you just hope not to get in their way. You're introducing them to the tool and they run off with it, you know, and they do amazing things with it.
That's a great way to put it, by the way. So like, you cannot really teach anyone programming in an hour in a class environment. And that's not what we learned either. We went to school, they introduced us a bunch of concepts, and then we ended up spending a lot of late nights or going and working in companies learning. School is just an introduction. And if you can pick their interest, if you can show them, hey, there is this tool and there's actually a job for you if you learn this tool, it's a real thing, you can actually get paid for it. That's when the kids take that and go learn. I see a lot of nice comments that Zynga is moving into Turkey, and there are a bunch of game companies. I think if the students know that there's an actual job if I learn Unity, that might just pique their interest enough.
Yeah, that's the big thing I think that's changed in the last 5 years. Because when I was first coming to Bahçeşehir in VR first, you would see the posting for Unreal developer, Unity developer, And you kind of know, all right, I've seen that post for like 6 to 9 months, and I've heard a lot of stories like they just run through these young kids, you know. But I think that's really changing because now there's real money, because there's real investment. And again, the currency exchange rates make production in Turkey so affordable comparatively. The amount of young kids who are getting foreign investment to go set up their own company, their company, not working for some boss who may not be the best boss to run, you know, a software, an innovative, you know, gaming company. The diversity is really great right now. So to your point, Bilal, yes, they realize there's real money here, and I'll be rewarded, and I'll be encouraged, and I'll have some freedom even that I didn't have 5 years ago. So it's all going to directly, I do agree, it's going to transition into VR because you don't need VR to make. So I tell people now, you don't need to, just don't try to sell in Turkey. If you feel like you've got a great idea for VR, AR, and it's true for gaming, don't limit yourself to the Turkish market. Make it here. You've got everything you need to make it here, but you've got to find, the challenge for you is to get into other markets. And I think VR actually is a very accessible market. Asha, I wonder if you've had the same sense, like, or would you say, what is it like in the UK? Do businesses kind of only prefer local producers, or are they very open to solutions in XR coming from other markets?
No, I think they're open to solutions coming from other markets for sure. And there's definitely lots of efforts that are put behind trying to facilitate like bilateral, either like competitions or grant funding or things like that. I mean, we've done work with like all kinds of different companies or countries, sorry, and facilitated those introductions. I mean, there isn't anything Turkey, UK specific, but I mean, there are definitely, not yet, exactly, but there definitely could be. And especially if the UK saw that as being like a, you know, a good region to go after as partners. And yeah, I think there's lots of opportunity outside of Turkey.
Yeah, and to speak to my experience, within the course that I run, it is a non-technical course, and I'm finding that people from multiple departments are attracted to it just to see what the potential is for them. So I do have some gaming students coming to a virtual world course where we do an analysis of of like what it means to operate a virtual world and like how it can be used and monetized and also utilized for personal needs or business needs. So like I get people from areas like communication departments, also film and media, like coming just to learn basically what these virtual worlds are about and what it can do for them. So like any animosity or resistance that you get from like gamers who want to focus on PC is like not something I personally see because like I go through a course in which like desktop and mentions of desktop and VR are blended together very fluidly. Like I only like stop to mention like what does this aspect of a virtual world mean for desktop? What does this mean for VR? And then the students themselves learn how to apply that knowledge to what they want to do. So.
Hello everyone. It's great that we can just jump in like this. Thank you, Michael, for a setup like that. I do have a comment about you asked what would you expect from Euromersive program. What I would say is that my name is Frat, by the way. I am founder of MEDEX. We do medical simulation with VR, AR, and now WebGL because of the pandemic, you know. And the problem in Turkey is that I don't know any successful VR app or AR app or their company. I'm in this environment for like 3 years now, and I'm seeing like fragments, pieces, sort of successful trials, but we don't have a hub that connects us all. And maybe all of these things that you're talking about, taking how to attract more talent, how to attract younger people. This is if we really collaborate and get together with these people, and then maybe we can actually attract more talent. This is something really in industry in Turkey needs. I mean, they do this really well in Ireland, UK, wherever, Europe, US. They have chapters of these AR/VR associations. They do really nice organizations. They are well organized. I think, as you mentioned, Michael, that you will host another event that specifically companies will get together. I think this will really help to bring more talent, and for us, before, get to know each other first, and in that way we don't use resources for nothing. I mean, I've seen 3 universities paid lots of money for basically same projects that don't work, but they are doing research, so they did this. So
Yeah.
money wasted for nothing.
I mean, you
Yes.
Thank you.
Michael,
And
sorry.
go ahead.
Rick.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Ferhat, I'm very happy you said that. That's exactly I wanted to say. You said that in a much better way than I would have said. So thank you, Ferhat, for your words. And that's exactly the mission that should have and will have our organization, our dernek, because it will be a dernek under the Turkish law. Of course, 35 millions of gamers in Turkey. This is huge. As you said, it's totally fragmented in Turkey. And we definitely need more collaboration, more common support, and having, let's say, a dernek, an organization, will help us to take some highness, to all the competitive aspects that we face into Turkey. And this competition, of course, it can be counterproductive in terms of realization, in terms of success. And having this kind of organization, and you're totally for that, and that's where we should go. All together, we share ideas, we combine, we help each other, we really try to create successful products, successful realization, and that's really the mission. And I'm very confident, thanks to Michael and the whole team that would be around, we can reach this mission.
Well, I mean, thank you very much for your confidence and both of your supportive words. That is the objective. There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of different stakeholders. So, and it's going to be a process to find. I think many of us who have been in the local industry for years have wanted to do this. This was definitely something I was trying to do a few years ago, and meeting a lot of people and being part of an institution kind of gives me other roles that eats into that. But, I think this is, I'm not a huge Oculus fan, but the Quest, I think, was really an inflection point for much of the industry. And I think Quest 2, knock on wood, will be a very successful platform. And I think Turkey is in a very strong position, maybe for our local industry to, on the VR side at least, to take a step forward in the next year. And hopefully that will happen, and hopefully we can be supportive of that. So I would like to just take a moment to offer any last thoughts to our panel. As we're kind of getting to time, people are definitely welcome to stay later. I'll leave the chat open, and we can just chat. But for the official talk, I want to give our panelists the last moment to share thoughts about what we've discussed.
Michael, will you also indicate that people can become members of our new community here?
I was going to do that when we were wrapping up after that.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and do it now. So Euromersive is, we hope to be an official association. Right now, we are just a very charitable organization. Membership is free. Just indicate to us that you would like to join. We want to kind of focus on people who have either an active presence or a strong connection to the Turkish industry for XR and VR, AR, MR, everything like that. We will, reach out to us, let us know, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we will reach out to you for more information if we need. And every 2 months, we're going to, as a group, just discuss and approve new members. So that's just how it works. But so we'll do that in November. We'll take everyone that we've kind of collected who's been interested, and we'll just approve new members on that basis as a group, and we'll go forward like that. But that being said, attending events does not require membership. The membership is if you want to join the Euromersive, the events that we'll do with our other national organizations, which are internal to Euromersive. The events that we do for like this will always be free and available to members and non-members. But so thank you, Bora, for asking for me to clarify that. But yes, to our panel, would you guys like to share any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say, I mean, it's exciting to see this community like starting and to be able to be here in its infancy in this, like, it was your second meeting, you said it was?
First.
It's your first. Oh, it's your first. Oh gosh. You said second. That's even better. I think you're taking the right steps with this. I mean, it's a learning curve. It's a steep one, but happy to share any guidance that and learnings that we've taken over the years with Immerse with you guys going forward. So if anyone has any questions or if you want to reach out, just let me know.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Asha. We needed you here for our first one to ensure we would start off right. Ertan, Bora, Lance.
Thanks for everyone to come here to discuss and to be here with us for our first meeting. I want to say the Turkish guys here, our lab is open for everyone. After this pandemic stuff is passed, everyone can come here and visit in Davut Paşa campus in this technical university. So yeah, thank you for coming again.
Same here. Please feel okay with contact me anytime you like. This is the point of this dernek, what we call in Turkish. And yes, as Fırat said, every industry is slowly getting into VR and XR yet, and there are no big killer apps done by the Turkish market. But eventually, if we keep meeting up and sharing information and knowledge with each other, it will slowly build up, and that's what our hope is about. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, the same goes for me. Like I regularly have events like within Euromersive now, but also outside of it. So like feel free to get in touch with me about that, because like I'm excited always to see communities as they're being built, like both in real life, I guess, but within VR as well. So
thank you again for everyone who attended, and a special thank you to our panelists, particularly Asha, because our members have to be here mostly. So
yeah.
But yeah, so this concludes the official part of the event. But I'll keep it open. People are happy to stay as long as they want, and we can chat and discuss as you need. But no one feels obligated to do so. Feel free to go home, enjoy your evening.